The Grabber, horror icon, or just another pretty face? Time to find out. Hey guys, welcome back to the Nightmare Collective. I'm Chris. Today we're going to be reviewing The Black Phone. This was directed by Scott Derrickson. I really like Scott Derrickson. I like Doctor Strange. I think it's okay. I'm not a huge MCU fan, but I like Doctor Strange. I like the direction of it. I think obviously he excels in his a little bit of horror stuff. If you don't know, he did direct back in the day a Hellraiser movie, Hellraiser Inferno. Not a great movie, but he does have some like moments where he shines in like some of the weird direction of that movie, and it's got some great shots in it. Don't watch that movie though; it's bad. But going into this, I like Sinister. I'm sure I'll talk about that movie on this channel. My only negative for Sinister is I really don't like all the jump scares that it kind of deluges into at the end of that movie. But this does not really have that. It has moments of that pop up, but I mean they're effective and they're well done. So I think that kind of trope is kind of gone away with this movie. I like the tension of this movie, and I've seen that this movie's been very like divided amongst people. Like some people really don't like this movie, and then some people like are praising it. I think I'm kind of in like obviously the latter half of that. I really do like this movie. I like Joe Hill's short stories. I'm a huge Stephen King fan, but I feel like Joe Hill takes the worst from his dad, and I think like the bloatedness of his books, like The Fireman and stuff like that, just don't work for me. Stephen King usually has good characters, and that's what kind of pulls me along through his books. His son does not have that though, so that's where I find myself kind of just like, with his stuff. But I do like The Black Phone. I like the short story. So going into this, I was kind of excited to see kind of how they expanded that into feature length. So this is set in 1978, which I think they capture perfectly. Everything is great. You know, normally they kind of just have like music or like you'll have a car or the clothes. They kind of do everything, man. They get the atmosphere, especially the way it's shot, is all good. And you know, I love a good atmospheric movie. So for me, I love all of that. I think it's cool because then you take away cell phones, you take away all of like the modern cruxes that we have now, and you kind of strip them away. And so you can basically just focus on the story and the characters. The characters in the movie are great. We have Finney Blake and his sister Gwen Blake, who play our main characters. Finney is like kind of shy and reserved, where his sister is like the complete opposite. She is a badass in this movie. I mean, there's a scene where like Finney's getting the shit kicked out of him, and she just jumps in and fucking just is like, she's like, beats the shit out of people. It's great. I mean, she does get thrown down, but man, she is not afraid to do anything, which is paralleled into her home life where their dad is very abusive. I mean, he drinks, and you come to find out kind of why that is, you know, with the passing of their mother and like some latent abilities that may or may not exist within Gwen, which they kind of dive into, which I like. I like that it's just not inherent, like, oh yes, this is true about her. She is this. I mean, people do believe her, but then her dad like wants nothing to do with it because it's just a reminder of his late wife. So I like that you have that, and I like that they don't shy away from like showing that abuse. I mean, it's not gratuitous in any way, but it fits the story, it fits the narrative of what we're going for. And so I think it's needed because you get to see, you know, Gwen, you know, basically get abused, and like Finn's inability to do anything. You know, he's just like paralyzed by fear, and he cannot do anything in that moment but watch his sister be abused, which is, I mean, it's rough to watch, but I mean, that character is what kind of he shows his arc later in the movie when he actually does have the ability to do something, and he grows and he realizes like, hey, if I'm going to get out of this, I've got to do something. So I like the acting. Ethan Hawke is great as the Grabber. We don't get enough of him though. I mean, that's kind of my only thing in this movie is that we, you know, he's brilliant in this and I like it, but we don't get enough of him, man. And I don't want to like dive into what he was before. I kind of like the nebulous nature, as you probably come to find, and you will on this channel, that's kind of what I like. I like the ambiguity of like not knowing why he's the way he is. But I'm afraid that with the success of this movie, that is what they're going to do, and we are going to see more of him. But I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it and see how that goes. We saw how it turned out with Sinister 2, so I don't have high hopes. But, you know, overall, with my like spoiler-free thoughts, I kind of just want to say I really like this movie. I like the characters. I like where they end up. I like the growth of the characters. I like the premise of, him being attacked and like put in this basement and he's receiving phone calls from, we don't know. It's just all the kids that have been taken. And that's kind of what's stirred this up in the town. I mean, a lot of these kids have been taken. They aptly name the kidnapper the Grabber. And, this leads into our foray into the actual bulk of the movie, which is Finney Blake running into the Grabber and getting taken and being put in this basement. And then, like I said, he starts receiving phone calls from basically the other world because he is getting phone calls from all these kids that have died and, passed on. And that's kind of what this movie entails. And I don't want to give too much away from like this point because I think you should really go watch the movie because everything after this is going to be very spoilery. So I'll put that here. So spoilers start kind of now. But like I said, go watch the movie, come back, finish this review. I mean, if you don't mind posting the spoilers, then, or you've seen the movie, continue watching. So, into my spoilers of this movie. So, the crux of this movie is basically that, he's put in this basement, the phone starts ringing. The black phone, that's all that's in this basement is a mattress, a window, and the black phone. So, it starts ringing, and he, basically is like, hey, what is this? And the guy's like, hey, don't hang up. Listen, we're gonna get you out of this. And so it's basically like all these kids that didn't make it out, they're kind of giving him advice and trying things that they tried to do. And so he keeps trying. And I mean, there's a moment in this movie that is very like heartbreaking where like Finney is like tunneling through the wall. He thinks he's gonna succeed, and he like gets to this fridge, and I mean he's just slamming on it, and it does nothing, man. And it's just shattering moment where like this is where the direction really comes into play from Scott Derrickson. That like you see this long zoom into Finney, and he's just crying. You're just like broken. You're just like, man, this shit sucks, man. This kid has done so much to try and get out. And basically he's getting calls from dead people. He's seeing all this. He's like terrified to go upstairs and he could die at any minute. He's just like tried everything. So this is when the movie kind of takes its, first foray into a turn where he's like committed to then get out. One of the phone calls he does get is from a friend Robin that he does have who kind of protects him throughout this movie, but unfortunately he does lose his life even though he is like an awesome character. He kicks the shit out of this bully like in the beginning. But it's hard, and he's basically like, dude, you're gonna get out of here. And so now this is juxtaposed to, which I didn't want to get to really in the spoilers. I know it's in the trailer, but I want people to like go into this, and that's his sister Gwen, who's been kind of seeing these like premonitions of like stuff happening. She doesn't really know what they are, but she sees the black balloon. She kind of gives that to the cops when they come to her school. She's getting visions of kind of what's happening. I mean, now she really can't connect, but like the dad doesn't want to do anything. I mean, the cops are looking for him, but they don't have a lot of information. And I mean, they have nothing left, so they start to kind of believe what she's saying and kind of go off some of the leads that she gives him. But man, she is great. Her performance is really well done, and I like her commitment to like be like, hey, I know you guys aren't going to do anything, but I'm going to continue to look for my brother. And she takes these visions, she goes out on her own, and eventually she does succeed. I mean, she does find her brother, and I do like that. They do a little like Silence of the Lambs, like switcheroo at the end where like all the cops are kind of converging around this house, and he's not actually in that house. It's the house across the street, which I like that kind of callback to that because it's a great moment in Silence of the Lambs. You think they're going to get it, and it's cutting back and forth, and then they're not even there. And that's like this moment where you drop and you're like, oh shit, is this kid actually going to die? But like I said, Ethan Hawke is great. I like the different masks done by Tom Savini. It's cool that he came and created these. And I do like that, basically he's playing a game. He leaves the door open at one point and like is basically testing him to come up because that's how all the other kids died. They thought they could escape and they really can't. And I mean, he's brutal, just like sitting in his kitchen, just like sprawled out, like waiting basically to fuck these kids up. But like I said, overall, I really like this movie. I like the direction of this movie. I would say it's not like tension filled throughout, but the moments with Finney and the Grabber are definitely tension filled. There's a moment where he like brings him breakfast, and he's like, "What did you put in?" And he's like, "Salt and pepper." So he's great, and I mean, he just knows how to play this like very intense but reserved character, you know. And there's something going on with his like power and the mask, because at one point the mask gets broken off and he like freaks out, and you know. But I like that they don't delve too deep into the mystique of like why he is the way he is. It's like when you take Michael Myers mask off, he's not, you know, it does freak him out. He doesn't know what to do. Like that is his identity basically. He can't do anything without that. So I do like that. It's kind of, for me, like I love Halloween, so that's a cool like parallel in these movies. But like I said, overall, I really like this movie. So, I mean, if you're into Scott Derrickson, if you like Sinister, if you like Joe Hill, I mean, I think you're going to like this movie. Like I said, the acting is top notch. The atmosphere is great. The tension's great. The music is great. There's not too many, like, overtly dumb jump scares. Like I said, there are a couple, but I mean, they were effective for me. I don't generally get scared at movies. Nothing really scares me. So I do like that it wasn't just like, oh, I kind of roll my eyes anytime there's like a jump scare. It's like The Conjuring is just jump scare city, and I think some of those are effective, but here it's like it's kind of downplayed, so you get to just really focus on the characters of the movie. So that's really all I have today. If you like what I do on the channel, consider subscribing, becoming part of the collective, and I hope you will join me for more reviews in the future. Until then, I've been Chris. Peace.